right, driver ready? On your mark. Get set. Go.
RC Command leads the way. Nick here, getting out in front of the camera again. I have had the opportunity of a lifetime this year to travel the country, and I have met some of the most hardcore rock bouncing fans that I ever could have dreamed of. I never thought that I would find anybody as fanatical about it as I am, but I have done so. I had a chance to head back up to the Mountain Mud Run earlier this year, back in May. Joe Pierce was nice enough to invite me back and asked me to run a RC rock bouncer race just like we do in the National Series. So we had started talking about it earlier on in the year, and I knew that with the way that the weather is up there, we were going to have a very short amount of time from when the snow melted to when the actual Mountain Mud Run happened. So I needed help, and I knew that I couldn't rely on Joe. Joe's a few hours away, but who I did speak to was a gentleman named Curtis Hazard. Curtis, I met at the through the race last year in 2018. That was my first Mountain Mud Run, and a big rock bouncer fan, and we hit it off. We had a lot in common, so we definitely kept in touch. And when I was tapped to put on this race, there was no one that I thought of first other than Curtis Hazard. So I went to Curtis, asked him what he thought about it, and he was bonkers. He loved it, loved the idea. So we came up with the concept called the King of the Mountain RC Bouncer Race at the Mountain Mud Run. And we put on that event. Curtis went up, scouted the hills. When snow allowed him to get up into the park, we knew exactly where we were going. We had plenty of room to set up tents. We had some vicious hills. And that's really where I saw and learned a lot about Curtis. And I got to tell you guys, I have not run into a more talented hill builder than Curtis. And honestly, guys, I'll be honest with you, I think that he's going to kind of set the bar and set the standard with building these hills. He does it in such a manner that it's scale looking, like we would see at Hawk Pride or Flat Nasty or Rush or any of the other big parks, the big name parks that all the big one-to-one bouncer race series go to. I think he's able to replicate that, but I also think that he makes it difficult enough because ultimately this is all about competition. So I have the opportunity. I have Curtis here with me today. We're going to go over just a quick Q&A, see if we can pick his brain and learn a little bit about him. So Curtis, without further ado, what's up, man? Just want to thank you for taking the time to do this interview with me. Can you tell me, just give me the name, where you're from, and all that stuff for everybody that doesn't know you.
Hey, what's up, Nick? It's Curtis from the King of the Mountains RC Bouncer Series. I live in Woodstock, New Hampshire. Originally from Rhode Island, but I've lived up in New Hampshire for about 5 years now.
So you're an implant to New England. I got you. All right. Hey, tell us real quick here, quick synopsis of you and your experience with RC. I think a lot of people will question you these days if you you have the experience, or if you're a new guy just trying to fit in, tell me about you and your experience with RC.
Oh man, that's a question I love. A lot of people are surprised, but I've been in RCs probably since I was about 8 years old. My dad used to buy me toy grade ones from Walmart or Radio Shack or whatever, and he knew I was going to take them apart and try to build whatever I could. And he'd buy them anyways, and he'd always support me in whatever I was trying to build. And then about when I was like 12 or 13, I finally saved up enough money to buy a Traxxas Stampede, and shortly after that, I got a Emax, also first gen when they first came out, and ever since then I've been hooked on hobby grade, whether it's nitros, crawlers, flying, pretty much anything RC. You can pretty much guarantee that I'm into. But I'm 29 now, so you could do the math. It's been a hobby for a long time.
All right, that's a long time. That is a lot longer than I've been into the hobby, Curtis. So I can guarantee I can learn something from you. So what about rock bouncing though? I remember, just for instance, my first few Mad Ram 11 videos that I was watching back in, I don't know, 2007, maybe 2008. I hadn't gone into the Army yet. Kind of steered away from it while I was in the Army, but always picked back up watching, the videos and stuff. But what was your turn on to the sport? Where did you hear about rock bouncing, or who was your first? I know for me it was Timmy Cameron. Who really got you hooked in the sport?
Yeah, I watched a video of Bobby Tanner about 7 years ago climbing Cable Hill, and that definitely got me hooked. That was definitely a crazy hill. It's awesome to watch. I always watch the Rock Rods and Mad Ram, all those different videos, always searching for different rock bouncer videos. I love that you can just build whatever you want. There's almost no guidelines to what you can build besides tire size. But I found out about them coming up to Mountain Mud Run about 5 years ago, and me and my buddy, we have gone to every one since then. They come up in May for usually a pretty big event. About 5 or 6 of the Southern guys come up here. They had Travis Lovett, Joe Pierce, Bobby, Wes Keene. They had Adam Ringer and a bunch of other guys. Every time they come up, it gets bigger and bigger. Obviously, I can't really get out to many of the big races out south or anything. I got family, and between job and all that, kind of keeps me busy. But I love to be able to go to more. But yeah, huge fan.
Yeah, thank goodness for Joe Pierce, because I would have to say if it wasn't for Joe, that probably wouldn't be happening. Joe sacrificed a lot the first few years that he was racing, traveling all the way from just south of Portland, maybe southwest of Portland, Maine, all the way down to Kentucky, Tennessee, out as far as Missouri. So huge sacrifices there with him, and I think that the Southern guys saw that, and they were like, "There's no way if he's going to invite us up there, we're not going to miss it." So I can't believe that it's blown up as much as it has just in the 2 years that I've been going. You've been going longer than I have, so I can't imagine the growth that you've seen. And now we're racing RC cars just like we are in the national series. So it's pretty amazing how no matter where this sport goes, it's growing. So very cool stuff. Think you'll be able to get to any of the national races, any of the bigger race series? Obviously, I'm biased, and I want you to come to the NRRA events. But any big rock bouncer events down south, any chance of that?
Yeah, man. I think next year I'd like to make it to as many as I can. But for this year, it looks like me and Rob are going to try to go down to Bikini Bottoms for the finals in October. So hopefully we'll see you there.
Okay, so when you first introduced yourself, you said you were from the King of the Mountain RC Bouncer Race Series, which is a new thing that you, Rob Wyman, are getting started up there. Super proud of you guys, man. So thankful that people like y'all are getting out there, building hills, organizing people. I know that you are building a bouncer now, or you have one that you just built. I know Rob's got one that's brand new to him. I know Mountain Mud Run was his first experience with rock bouncers. Tell me a little bit about what y'all plan to do with this race series. Tell me a little bit about the rule set. What direction are you taking this new race series?
Yeah, the rule set that we run is the same as the National Rock Racing Association, and the same kind of rules that actually you run. We try to keep them as much like the real bouncers as possible. You can find more detailed rules on our Facebook group. It'll show it right at the top of the page, from acceptable rigs to all the rules that are on the hills as well.
Okay, so you got the race series started. I see a lot of advertising on Facebook about up-and-coming races. You guys are utilizing parks such as the Mountain Mud Run and one other park that I know that another event's coming up. Please get on their Facebook group. He is also advertising on other RC rock bouncing groups like the RC Rock Bouncing Group, also Texas RC Rock Racing, Atlanta, Canada, RC Rock Bouncers. So there's a few places where you can go to find out this information, okay? And then on his personal page, I always advertise it on my personal page, so there's no excuse for not being able to find out information about these race series, okay? That's a great thing about 2019, man, is we can just blast that stuff out all over everywhere. But, so, what in that aspect of promoting race series and so on, what needs to happen? What do you see? What do you need up there, and what can I do better? Also as a race manager to get more people involved.
That's a really good question. What needs to really happen is we need to have a lot of interest. We're going to have the drivers that show up. If we don't have the drivers, then there's not really much point of showing races. We've had a lot of interest so far. We've had quite a few drivers that have traveled quite a long distance just to come to our opening for a race. We had our first event at Slab City a couple weeks ago, and we only had about maybe 4 people that showed up, but one of them was from the winner of our Bounty Hill at Mountain Mud Run, and he drove all the way from Maine, which is about 2 hours from here. So the dedication is definitely there. We got to find a couple more drivers.
Slab City, that was what I was trying to remember. Thank you. Mountain Mud Run and Slab City up there. Okay, so participation. Exactly. Without drivers, we don't have races. So we can be great managers, great hill builders, great promoters, but if nobody's showing up, then we don't have a race, bottom line. So, okay, so we got a general overview of your situation up there. Fresh start. You guys are just kicking off. You're kicking off late in the year too, and you've taken on a lot. You've already had a few events. One at your personal hills in your backyard. One at Slab City. You got one more at the Mountain Mud Run and another one at Slab City. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. So, you know, we got this year. It's going to be a busy year for the rest of the year. What's your overall goal? You know, where do you want to be in 5 years? Or you know, kind of give me your ideas as far as that goes.
Yeah, the goal for the series up here is just to be able to provide races and events for those that would like to. There's no kind of organized RC rock racing in New England that I know of anyways, so hopefully this will kind of open up things for those that would like to race. We are very lucky to have two off-road parks that are on board. We have Mountain Mud Run and Brenda and John that are fully on board with us, and we also have the guys down at Slab City Motorsport that are more than helpful. They gave us our own spots, set up our own hills, set up our own tents and everything, so hopefully we can keep it going.
So, you know, you sound very optimistic about the race series and what your plan is, your vision, the direction that you're going to take the race series. I've spoken to you at length about your plans throughout the rest of this year and into next. What do you say to the drivers who are looking to maybe start, maybe not this year, but maybe start racing with y'all next year, or maybe they're just ready to jump right in? Rob Wyman, you know, he jumped right in with both feet. Man, the guy's dedicated. So, and you're going to find the guys that are not so dedicated, and you're going to find the guys that are. So, what do you say to those guys, the drivers that are coming up?
Yeah, my recommendation for new drivers, you can go on our Facebook group, King of the Mountains RC Bouncer Races. Check things out. It has pictures and footage from our previous races. If you click on events, it'll show you our future events. We have one coming up next weekend, August 10th. It'll be at Slab City Motorsport Park in Grafton, New Hampshire. Definitely come check things out, say hello. If you're new to the sport and you just want to try things out, you can always come check out one of our races. A lot of the drivers are more than willing to hand you one of the remotes and let you try it out. You can also just buy a cheap rate. Go on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace and find a $200 and something Wraith and start from that. That's exactly what I did, and I bought a $200 Wraith and just started adding parts where I could. And now I got a chassis and everything, so you can always upgrade.
These are all really, really good points, Curtis. That's where I started. Bought a Wraith and just started upgrading as I broke things. You know, there wasn't any competitive RC rock bouncing in my area when I was coming up, so I really wasn't building for racing per se, but I knew that I wanted to go up hills or over obstacles fast. So that was always the goal. So everything just got a little stronger and a little faster with each upgrade. So and that's what happens in the 1-to-1 world too. You know, you got your guys that start building a Jeep and they start off with the Dana 30, you know, and then they snap that axle in half or bend it or whatever, so they upgrade to Dana 44s, and then that's not strong enough, so they go to Dana 60s, you know, and then they start competitive rock bounce racing, and now they're running 14 bolts or Dana 80s in the front. So, you know, we're Rockwell's. It never ends, and I hope that it never ends for us either. Speaking of that, let's nerd out for a second. Tell me about your new bouncer, man. I mean, I know we're race managers. I know we don't race in the series per se for points. You might see us run with the boys, but that's just for fun. I know I never count my times. I never participate. Curtis may run, you know, because your numbers are small right now, but I know that you're not counting your points and you're not taking home any prizes just because that's just not right of us to manage a race and take home prize money. It just it's just not right. So, but we're still fanatics, man. We're still fans. We're still hobbyists and sportsmen. So we have our bouncer builds. I know I'm proud of mine. Tell me a little bit about yours, man. This is your first one, and you jumped in head first. What's going on with it?
For my bouncer, there's not really much of a plan. I'm just kind of building as I go, doing what I can when I can. It's kind of a budget build, but obviously I want Vanquish axles and MIP shafts and all that good stuff. But right now, it's pretty much a stock Wraith with a hot racing trans and metal spur gear. I do have a Mamba X ESC and 3800 kV motor that will go in, but like I said, I'm kind of waiting for a couple other parts before I throw that in. I don't want to throw it in right now and just break a whole bunch of stuff, but hopefully over the winter it'll give me time to build another chassis. This is my first one. My friend gave me kind of a hand-me-down chassis he bought it off of Amazon, one of those cheap ones. But I cut the whole top of it off and kind of redesigned it, made it kind of more of a southern style chassis, I guess you could say. But hopefully over the winter, build another chassis, put a little bit more thought into it, and hopefully it'll be killing some hills next spring.
Well, that is awesome, man. That's really good to hear. I have no doubt that whatever comes out of your shop is going to be well built. So good on you for that. I think we all have our projects going on this year, but we're gonna keep that real close. Plenty more to come out of some pretty badass shops. All right, man. So I think we've covered it all. What about thanks? Who's been backing you up, or who's? I know that I could not do what I do by myself at all. From my support chain at home to my rock bouncing family to all the race managers and stuff like that, like keeping me straight. Who's helping you with this and give some shout outs, man.
Yeah, man, there's definitely some people I'd like to thank. Everybody at Mountain Mud Run, Brenda and John, they've all been so welcoming and awesome to let us play on their hills. Everybody from Slab City Motorsport, they've been so welcoming, letting us have our own area and gave us our complete own area to set up. I couldn't thank them enough. Rob's been a huge help. He's been kind of my right-hand man, helping me with the hills and helping me set up for the races. Also, my buddy Jeremy, he goes to me with every single mountain mud run we've been to. He's helped. He's not even that big of an RC person, and he still helped with all the hills and building them and clearing them out and all that. Obviously, a huge thanks goes to Nick. I probably wouldn't be here without him. He's put a lot of belief in me. It's came from a small idea about a year and a half ago. We started talking about the Mountain Mud Run and running RC bouncers there, and it exploded. Everybody was so impressed, and they had such a great time, and they wanted us to keep it going. So me and Rob kind of looked at each other, and we're like, yeah, we definitely got to keep this going. So definitely a huge thanks to all of you. Thank you.
Well, all right, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time today. Sacrifices away from your family, away from your other projects and junk. So thank you very much. Any last words before we sign off?
I just want to say thank you for all the support from everybody. It's truly been awesome. Nick, I'll see you in October. Thanks for having me, man.
Yes, you will. October finals. It is going to be a rip-roaring weekend of off-road racing. We're going to have the Icelandic guys coming down doing their Formula off-road stuff. It's insane, the hills that they climb, and there are different rules and stuff. We're going to have 4 rock bouncer races on top of the UTV races. RC is going to have 4 races, 4 hills. You know, we're going to do 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday. You know, so it is going to be a jam-packed weekend. It is the first weekend in October. If there's any possible way you can make it, it is Bikini Bottoms Off-Road Park in Dyersburg, Tennessee. I went last year, and it is insane. Um, I think I slept a few hours a night, and that was only because the action was nonstop. You know, up at 6 in the morning, off the hills at 6 or 7 o'clock at night, you know, and then just getting back and getting refit, ready to go for the next day. You know, it's an experience, man. I love it. But that is it, everybody. Thank you so much. Hit us up in the comments below, down below. Let us know what you think about these interview series. If you like it, let me know who you'd like to see interviewed next. You know, we did Sam Doobie a few months ago from RC Fabricatory up there in Canada. He was actually the winner at the Mountain Mud Run, the King of the Mountain RC Bouncer Race back in May. So congratulations to him. Yeah, hit us up and let us know. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. RC Command leads the way.